WP, space piracy is just another legitimate and legal business as long as you have a license for it. You are trying to get yours, but the paperwork is driving you crazy. I was on the deck, contemplating the magnificence of space beyond the glass. I felt like a migrating bird, free to choose my next turn, my next change of course that would lead me to God knows where. Then I saw a foreign spacecraft, not too far away. I could see its lights blinking, forming the letters TRG, which could only mean an oil tanker. I had my license. I didn't have to think about this twice. So I gave the order. Attack, I said. The engine of my spacecraft hummed and revved as it accelerated. But there was another sound that confused me. It was a plastic irritating sound. An 8-bit tune, penetrating my brain. I opened my eyes. My phone was ringing. Goddamn, I thought. Just when I was having the nicest dream. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand and took a look at the screen. It wrote, Mark Tuborg. I swiped up. Yeah, hey Tony. How's it going? Mark said. I was gonna ask you that exact same question. I mumbled with the sleep still dripping from my face. How's it going with the license? Are we getting it well? About that, Mark's voice got abruptly nervous. Listen, man. You're gonna have to come down here. You have to go get a couple of papers yourself and sign a couple of things. I felt an arrow stinging my temper. I had just come out of sleep and now I wanted to smash something. What the fuck? Mark, I yelled. What do you mean I have to come down there to get and sign some papers? Ain't you a lawyer? Ain't that what I'm paying you to do? And even if I change route right now, do you have the slightest idea how long it will take me to get back to Earth? Do you know how far I am right now? No? Well, let me tell you. Mark, more than 30 light years away. You shithead. Do you seriously expect me to take my whole crew and come back to Earth? You fuck, hey. Hey. Jesus. Tony. Hold on. Let me at least explain why it is that I can't do this by myself. Your spacecraft registration has expired. Do you know that? You need to renew it. And since you're the owner, it has to be you. Also, you have a guy named Matthew Gerland in your crew, right? In the papers it looks like he's the driver. Right, yeah. I sighed. Matt's the driver. What about him? He's too old. Tony. That's what's up. Spacecraft drivers' licenses expire when you reach the age of 65. You can extend it by 10 years. But to do that you have to be tested again and get approval from the Transportation Ministry. Matthew Gerland is pushing 70 right now. And hasn't renewed his license, then. In my rage and irritation, it occurred to me. A rational thought. I have made a mistake. Taking off from Earth so early. I should have stayed until my papers were ready. Now I have wasted a shitload of money and I have a smartass with a suit lecturing me through the phone. How could I have been so stupid? Damn. Tony? Tony? Can you hear me? Mark was buzzing through the phone speaker. Like a fly that won't let you sleep at night. Yeah. I can hear you. Goddammit, what I just told you doesn't just mean that you can't have your license. It also means you are flying illegally right now. Do you hear me? I hear ya. I said calmly and hung up. This fucking prick. I looked through the glass of my cabinet to the stars and fell into hopeless contemplation for a moment. Then another buzzing sound pulled me back to reality rather harshly again. I've grown used to it. It from the cockpit. I buzzed the intercom button and a rusty distorted voice came through the PA. It was all Matt. Captain. We got ourselves a problem. It's the cops. Oh. Shit. I thought. I'm coming. Matt, I took off the clothes that served me as pajamas and threw my body in my captain suit. Staggering. I opened my door. Walked across the corridor. The front deck. And opened the cockpit door. Well. Perhaps Mark was right. The whole cockpit smelled like old person. Matt tilted his head and looked at me with gleaming anxiety in his cloudy eyes. Across him, I could see a small single spacecraft approaching us. With its siren flashing blue and red lights across the galaxy. Hey. Matt. I said. Do you know your license has expired, Ugh? He hesitated. His eyes drifted. I'm sorry. Sir. No one would have me. I needed this job. You know. I never thought we'd run into cops. I mean. This is space after all. I looked at the cops again. For some reason. I was utterly calm. I had gone from furious to zen mode in less than 5 minutes time. That was because of one reason. I had made a decision. I'm sorry. Sir, Matt's cracking old voice said. Don't be. I have to ask you something. Matt. How would you like to become an outlaw at such old age? How do you mean that, sir? His eyes bulged. We're going to take those cops down. With the artillery we've got. This is gonna be a piece of cake. Then we will roam the universe. Pillaging every damn ship we can get our dirty hands on. What do you say? Matt scratched his grey goatee. Despite how misty and old his eyes were. I swear I saw a spark in there. With a sluggish motion he took his headset off. Revealing his insanely long and hairy ears, and he opened his mouth. Look. Sir. I don't have any kids. Unfortunately. I never had any. I lost my wife to cancer when I was 50. It's been almost 20 years. Now. I'm alone. I'm alone and old. Do you think I got anything to lose? A shudder went down my spine and my stomach tightened. I patted him on the shoulder and looked him in the eye. He stared back at me with an expression that suggested utter confidence. Excitement even. He nodded slowly. Before putting his headset back on. He grabbed the steering wheel and I grabbed the microphone next to him. I brought it close to my mouth. Pressed the button. And gave the order to the rest of the crew. Hostile ship. 12 o'clock. We're going rogue. Open fire. I repeat. Open fire. Excuse me for saying this. Says the rules lawyer. But you don't seem like the type. Robert Marsden II. Son of the Black Dog of the Space Lanes. Lord of the Seven Celestial Flows. Captain of the Dreadnought Dread. Is very much not the type to become a space pirate. He is lanky where his legendary father was stocky. Bald where that worthy man had been heavily bearded. Worse still. Has never struck a man in anger in all his life. But then. The new Pirates Guild regulations make provisions for such people under the Equal Opportunity Clauses. Oh, I assure you I am. Robert says in his high, flighty voice. Madam. I was born to be a space pirate. I cut my teeth on the most dreaded ship in the 13 worlds. Yes. The Dread. I can see as much on your citizen's account. The woman frowns. Pushes back from her wide mahogany desk. She is not someone whose face seems used to smiling. But Robert thinks that he changed that. He thinks he can change a great many things about the 13 worlds. If he can ever figure out the infernal regulations. Robert stands to his full, imposing height. Unfurling the whipcord thin, near 7 foot tall body of a man born and bred to the vacuum of space. Her dark eyes track him as he goes up and up and up. Widening with surprise when he never seems to end. Madam. I will not be denied. As I'm sure you also know. I have put in 6 applications to the Pirates Guild over the past 2 years and I refuse to fail on my 7th. That is where you come in. That is typically why one contracts a rules lawyer. He says. Fine. I'll take a chance on you. What's my cut? 20% of my first haul. 30%. And a provision to be named at my discretion. Now it is Robert's turn to act surprised. The rules lawyer smiles. Stands as well. She is impressive. In her own shrunken way. Like Robert. The signs of her birth are clear on her frame. She is from Lussus. Or another similar high gravity world. When she walks she moves with a thumping power. Feet pressing solidly to the ground. And she navigates her short, powerful body around the end of the desk. Beckoning Robert to the room's sole window. Together they look out over the filthy tenement hives. Where airbuses mingle with private skimmers in the lanes above and below. I can get you your membership. It won't be hard. You did your application just fine the first 6 times. The problem was that never bribed anyone. It's a simple enough fix. A bribe, Robert exclaims. his face a caricature of itself. Sharp lines stretched, breaking as if shocked that such a thing as bribery could reach into the halls of government. You really aren't cut out for this. I will be. She throws him a long, measuring look and then snaps her fingers. A wall panel iris is open at their back. The hollow display of a ram's head flickering out to reveal a hallway Robert had not noticed. A young assistant comes in. Raven hair. Wispy. With bright, active eyes. Take dictation. The rules lawyer says. And the girl folds herself into a chair. A tablet appearing in her hands. I do have some questions about your previous applications. She continues. Things you've changed from your father's day. Things that don't necessarily fit a pirate's pattern. Let's start with your moniker. What did you want it to be again? The depilatory despot? Robert says instantly. The sound of the girl taking dictation freezes for a moment. They turn back to her and she is stifling a laugh with the back of her hand. The rules lawyer throws a look that could melt steel at her, and soon enough the synthesized clicking of the tablet begins again. Okay, sure. We'll go with that. And you have a ship. Correct? Describe it to me. Yes. I do. In my father's heyday she was the most feared dreadnought in all the worlds. A terror of the space lanes. It was she that took down the Purplebird and broke the fortifications of Tau Ceti Prime. He called her the Dread. I would start my legacy anew. Aha. And how many guns does it have? Is it a full dreadnought, madam? She is the dreadnought that gave us the word. She ships 200 guns ranging from anti-fighter masers up to planet crackers, and FTL aging but acceptable. Hawking drive. Very good. Very good. And you have a crew for her? Robert frowns. Recruiting has posed some problems. But I suspect they will end once I am in the guild. Until then I have my androids and emergency hollers. The ship comes equipped with hard light projectors. The rules lawyer nods along. Fashionable red hair bobbing. Alright. We have much of your data logged in the old applications. We can pull that where necessary on the smaller items. One last question for now. What did want to rename her? Robert Marsden. The prospective depilatory despot puffs up with pride. I repainted her. He says. She is a pale white now. None of that stark blackness from my father's day. Now she is bone exposed to space. Sharp edge lines standing out against the cold. Oh madam. If you could see the figurehead in person. Those terrible eyes lit by the glow of the stars and blue shift of hawking speeds. If your eyes could trace the curves beneath the plasteel dress. The power in her hands. You too would see the power of the name that the review boards did not. By the name though. What is it? The porcelain princess. The assistant loses it. The high peal of her laughter fills the office. And even when she is dismissed it fills Robert's ears. Fuels are burning in his cheeks. It is a good name. The rules lawyer says unconvincingly when they are back at her desk. A contract between them and whiskey on the rocks to either side. See here now. Robert says. Looking over the form. It says here your commission is 50% of the first take. Not 30%. Yes, well. Plans change. What about your provision to be named? She shrugs. I've decided to waive it. I was going to ask to be your first officer. There's dreadfully romantic about the pirate's life. And anyway I hate this office, but you don't want to anymore. She sips at her whiskey. Looking him square in the eye. The muscle of her powerful jaw bulging for a moment as she considers. Let's just say I'll wait and see. Keep the spot open for me? Sounds like you don't have one yet. Robert's grin splits his face from ear to ear. He finishes his whiskey in a single pull. The most pirate-like thing he has done his whole visit. And then slams the glass down to the desk. We'll make a pirate of you yet. 40% and you've got yourself a deal. They settle on 42%. And when Robert Marsden II, depilatory despot, captain of the dreadnought Porcelain Princess, leaves the rules lawyer's office he has never felt like a bigger man. The lawyer considers his form. Then considers the stars. And dreams of when events might sweep her out of the hives and towards greater things. The assistant, unknown to both of them, considers the life of as well. Piracy has become very trendy since the legalization. And for her there is something charming about a porcelain ship and a porcelain figurehead. And herself, who she has always thought as porcelain in her own way. And above it the ship hangs in Spassadock. Waiting. In the hard, cold vacuum. The figurehead's eyes truly do glow. If you enjoyed that, I've got tons more over at Art Turning to Words. Come check it out. I'd love to have you.